Asterisk, what if you bought Nvidia before the AI boom? In early 2024, Leo stared at his brokerage account. The number on the screen had changed his life forever. But if you'd asked him 3 years earlier, he would have told you he made the biggest mistake of his investing life. By the end of this story, his account would show a number he never imagined. But to understand how he got there, we have to go back. Leo was 29, a software engineer. Nothing special about his life on paper. A normal salary, rent that ate into his paycheck every month, a student loan that never seemed to shrink, no rich parents, no inheritance, no insider tips. Just a guy who had managed, slowly and carefully, to save $8,000. $8,000. Not life-changing money, not even enough to feel secure, but it was his, and he had one decision to make with it. Bitcoin was everywhere in conversation. Tesla was the golden child of the stock market. Apple was the safe, boring choice everyone's parents recommended. An index fund was the responsible thing to do. And then there was Nvidia, a company most people only knew as the one that made graphics cards for video games. Back then, almost nobody bought Nvidia because of AI. Nobody was talking about AI. It wasn't part of the conversation. It wasn't a trend, a headline, or a dinner table topic. It was just GPUs, gaming hardware, a niche, but his biggest mistake hadn't happened yet. It was lunch at the office. His friends were doing what everyone does, with money they don't have fully invested yet, arguing about where to put it. One said Bitcoin, obviously. That's where the real gains were. Another said Tesla, because Elon was a genius, and the stock only went up. Someone else was deep into crypto altcoins, convinced they'd found the next big thing. Then Leo said it quietly, almost embarrassed. I'm buying Nvidia. Silence. Then someone laughed. Gaming graphics cards? Another chimed in. Yeah, people buy GPUs to play video games, that's it. A third shook his head. You're going to miss Bitcoin, man. You're going to regret this. Sometimes the hardest part of investing isn't picking the stock. It's being the only person in the room who believes in something nobody else sees yet. Leo didn't argue. He didn't try to convince them. He just went home that night and bought Nvidia anyway. And then everything went wrong. The stock started falling. Not a small dip. A real, uncomfortable slide. His portfolio was down 20% within months. Every morning, before coffee, before checking messages, before anything else, Leo opened his phone and checked the numbers. Red, 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 red. Day after day, the same color staring back at him. 3 months later, Leo almost sold everything. His finger hovered over the sell button more than once. He told himself it was just a game accessory company. Maybe his friends were right. Maybe Bitcoin really was the smarter play. Maybe he'd made an emotional decision instead of a logical one. If he had sold that day, this story would end right here. Just another guy who tried something different and lost a little money before going back to safer choices. But this is where most stories about investing get boring. So let's not make it boring. Let's talk about what was actually happening in his head. Leo kept asking himself the same question, over and over. Did I make a mistake? He started watching finance YouTube videos late at night, hoping someone would tell him he was right. He scrolled through Reddit threads, searching for validation. He read financial news, waiting for even a small sign that things would turn around. Nothing exciting ever came. No headlines, no breakthrough. Just silence and stagnation. Meanwhile, his friends were posting about their crypto gains. Screenshots of green numbers, casual bragging over group chats. Leo wasn't posting anything. He wasn't gaining. He was just sitting there, watching his $8,000 slowly bleed, wondering if he'd been naive. Months turned into years. And this is the part almost nobody talks about when they tell success stories, the boring middle. The part where nothing happens. No crash dramatic enough to make headlines. No rally exciting enough to celebrate. Just flat, quiet, uneventful waiting. This is the moment almost every investor loses. Not during the crashes. During the boredom. Crashes are dramatic. They force decisions. They create clarity one way or another. But boredom is different. Boredom convinces you that you're wasting your time, that nothing is ever going to happen, that you should move your money somewhere more interesting. Leo almost did, but slowly, quietly, something started shifting in the background. Not headlines yet, not hype, just whispers in tech circles about something called machine learning needing more computing power. Data centers were expanding. Cloud computing companies were investing heavily in new hardware. There was talk, not loud, not viral, just industry talk, about companies quietly buying up enormous quantities of GPUs for something other than gaming. Leo noticed it because he was a software engineer. He read things his friends didn't read. He started connecting dots that weren't obvious to everyone else yet. Then one event changed the entire tech industry. Artificial intelligence stopped being a background conversation and became the conversation. Suddenly it was everywhere. OpenAI was a household name. Microsoft was pouring billions into AI infrastructure. Google was racing to keep up. Meta was building its own models. Amazon was expanding its cloud AI services. And every single one of them needed the same thing to make it happen. Chips. Nvidia chips. Oris exploded. Revenue exploded. And the same stock his friends had mocked at that lunch table years earlier, exploded right along with it. Leo refreshed his portfolio and froze. His hands were shaking slightly as he stared at the screen. He refreshed again just to make sure it wasn't a glitch. Again. The number kept climbing, day after day, and it didn't feel real. Leo didn't become rich overnight. That's the part people skip when they tell these stories. He became rich after surviving years when nothing happened. Years of red numbers, years of doubt, years of watching other people seem to win, while he waited in silence. Let's look at what actually happened to his money, roughly, over time. His original $8,000 slowly climbed to around $18,000. Then, as the AI wave gathered real momentum, it pushed past $40,000. Then it climbed again, past $90,000. Eventually, it crossed over into six figures entirely. Not a fantasy number. Not some impossible lottery-style outcome. Just steady, dramatic growth built on top of years of patience most people don't have. Now, you might think that's the end of the story. It isn't. Was Leo lucky? It's tempting to say yes. Wrong place, right time, and all that. But that's not quite the full picture. Leo understood something that almost nobody else at that lunch table understood. Every major revolution in history creates one company that quietly sells the tools. Everyone else needs to participate in it. During the gold rush, the people who got rich weren't always the miners. Often, it was the people selling shovels. During the rise of the internet, one of the biggest long-term winners wasn't just any online store. It was Amazon, the company that built the infrastructure everyone else relied on. During the smartphone era, Apple didn't just make phones. It built an entire ecosystem that others had to build around. And during the AI boom, it was Nvidia, the company quietly building the chips that made every single AI breakthrough possible. Leo didn't predict ChatGPT. He didn't predict which specific AI company would win. He didn't need to. He understood a bigger pattern, that behind every explosive new technology, there's usually a company selling the essential tools nobody's paying attention to yet. So here's the real question this story leaves behind. It's not really about whether Nvidia made people rich, because that part already happened. That story is written. The real question is about right now, today. Which company is quietly building the tools for the next revolution? The one nobody's talking about yet? The one that will feel painfully obvious 3 years from now? Maybe you already know the answer. Maybe you're one lunch conversation away from being laughed at for saying it out loud.